Hello and welcome everyone to the Scooby-Doo review. I'm your host Zerk. With me is my co-host Pen. Say hello, Pen.
Hello, Pen.
Together, we have decided that every other Wednesday until we either run out of things to review or expire, we will review a piece of Scooby-Doo media, which today we're going to be putting a little bit of a spin on it, and that today is going to be our spring cleaning episode.
Yeah. We haven't we still got a few bits to really finish off on what's new and then finally move on to the Scooby-Doo show. And also, apologies for all of the delays. I know this may date this episode a little bit, but I'm sorry it took so long to come out. We've had some real life issues.
Yeah. Anyways, if you'd like to hear more about those, you can check out my channel. I recently posted an update video on my channel as to why I haven't really been uploading there, both this podcast and some real life things.
Yeah, it's in the description. So if you want to go see that, you can
Yeah.
go do that.
Anyways, without further ado, let's begin with our first topic, which I believe, Pen, is your theory on about how in the camp episode with the Topstick Terror, it is Red Shirt Shaggy. What do
Yes,
you have to
I
say about that for us?
So this is Camp Come On, I Want to Scare Ya is an episode that is defined by Shaggy and Scooby just kind of out there doing things on their own, which is very strange and different compared to what normally happens. And that is a trait that we normally see in Red Shirt Shaggy episodes and other features featuring him. A reduced main cast combined with some wacky stuff. I mean, have you seen how much fan art there is for the Ghoul School crew? There's so much.
That surprises me honestly because I mean Reluctant Werewolf is by far the weakest of the Red Shirt Shaggy movies.
It's bad. Ugh.
It's yeah. But when it comes to the rest of them, I always thought Brew Brothers was the one that I tolerated the most because that's the one I remember watching on DVD the most of the three.
Oh yeah, no, with the it's basically the Three Stooges, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Bonky 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 bonky
yeah, yeah,
bonky.
yeah. I think that was also one of the few movies where Scrappy was actually tolerable as well.
Yeah, there are some moments where Scrappy has been tolerable. Anyway, I got all screwed up there. Um, it, Red Shirt Shaggy is defined by being separated from the rest of the gang.
Mhm.
And this is one of those cases where I could definitely see it. Also, he's they're weird. They're like teaching summer camp kids, which is not a thing we have seen. Although I think there's a movie about a camp scare. Once again, we haven't watched everything. That's
Yeah,
what we're doing
yeah.
this.
I remember seeing Camp Scare on Teletoon one
Mhm.
morning in October, actually, and that one is actually largely a Fred-based movie, actually.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess I'll look forward to it whenever we get around to it. Um, and that's about it. I think that this could be one of those multi-universal, like alternate universe timelines of Shaggy, and that I think at some point he could actually face the real green shirt Shaggy in a head to head
yeah.
with werewolf powers and such.
I think you bring up a good comparison to Ghoul School there, just to sort of circle this back a little.
Mhm.
What's kind of interesting about Ghoul School and actually all of the Red Shirt Shaggy movies, aside from Reluctant Werewolf, which,
Yes.
they have a secondary cast of characters to sort of fill in the gap left behind by the gang. In Brew Brothers, it's obviously the Boo Brothers. In Ghoul School, it's of course the students at the titular school. And we kind of see that with the three kids, and to a lesser extent, Dennis as this sort of shit disturber character. Um, but with Camp Come On, I Want to Scare You. Now, What's New didn't have the most continuity in the world. There's
No.
there's more continuity among the What's New movies than to the show.
Yep.
Uh,
I
but
mean, because at least there's like maybe a few lines that are like, oh, yeah, we did do this before.
yeah,
It's enough.
yeah. In the show, it's mostly you can assume that based on some dialogue in season 2 with Melbourne O'Reilly in Egypt, that the What's New series at the very least, um, we are shown the episodes in fundamentally chronological order. Uh,
Honestly, that would make enough sense. And it would end the show with the scream, the Velma getting stuck in a simulation thing. And I think that that would be a fine end to the show, really. Although we
yeah,
do know that it's really the samurai sword thing that is the
yeah,
end.
yeah. I think it would be futile to place the movies around the seasons, which is kind of why we reviewed the series in a chunk ourselves and the movies separately, and then ended with Vampire and Samurai Sword, because Vampire, of course, being the Hex Girls episode, and my sort
Yes.
of that's going to get interesting when we get into some of the Hex Girls sort of better appearances, which is Ghost, and the one I'm dreading, which is Guess Who. That apparently I'm. You're gonna see some nerd rage from me there. You're gonna see me
I
get a
have
little peeved off.
I have seen a little bit of it, and the time thing, I am not going to tell you anything about it, and we're going to get to it at some point, maybe one day. You know.
I I mean, look, I'm probably gonna get pissed off at the characterization, but as long as they don't do anything stupid, like have a subplot where Shaggy and Thorn get together, that
No,
then
no,
I'll be fine.
that was never a thing. No, 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 no,
Okay,
no.
good, good.
Oh my god.
That's that's at least a relief.
We
Um,
have I have seen some things that
speaking
I don't want to see again.
speaking
Oh,
of the Hex Girls, that actually brings me into the first thing I wanted to talk about this episode, which was I was speaking to a friend of mine who started watching the podcast, and he and I were talking about this spring cleaning episode that we're doing right now, and I said if there's one thing I regret not doing in one of the episodes, it's not putting the What's New team on blast enough for whitewashing Luna in the Hex Girls. So,
mhm,
as a bit of
mhm.
context, I'm sure in the edit here, Craig can put up a image of the Hex Girls for us. Um, thank you, Craig. Um, but what's basically the thing is, in the original Hex Girls, Luna was depicted as being um, racially distinct from the other Hex Girls. We never get any confirmation of what race she is. We just know Luna has dark skin.
Vaguely
Uh,
dark skin, yeah. Who gives a
and what I really love about Mystery Inc. Again, going back to what Mystery Inc. being probably one of the best things Scooby Doo ever did, they
the
actually
best thing?
leaned into that. They actually leaned into that more in Mystery Inc. And in Mystery Inc. she's just explicitly black and it's awesome. And what I like about having Luna be a racially diverse member of the Hex Girls is because the Hex Girls, to me, fundamentally represent the antithesis of everything the Scooby Gang is.
Yeah, they're punks. They're not from the 1960s.
Yeah,
They're
Hex, the Hex Girls are punks. They're brave. They're kind of sassy. They're weirdly mystical. They lean into the more of the actual supernatural than the logical. Um, uh, they're all hot, which I mean you could argue the gang is
whack,
too, but
whack, down, bad.
look, the Hex Girls are great, okay, and they have ruined many people's childhoods into their adulthoods,
Yeah,
including my own. So,
lots of people found out they were gay from the
yeah,
Hex Girls.
yeah, yeah.
See it all over Twitter.
Which is why if I ever write a Hex Girl show, which I will try, I will make Luna Dusk. I will make Dusk into a lesbian for them. Anyways, let's ignore my dreams of working for Warner Brothers for a moment and go back to Luna.
Mhm.
Luna being racially distinct is super crucial to the Hex Girls being the antithesis of the Mystery Inc. gang, because the Mystery Inc. gang is fundamentally white bread conservative 60s America.
Yep.
And the Hex Girls being all women. There's all women. There's again, if Dusk was made into a lesbian, they'd have an officially LGBTQ member, which the gang typically doesn't. Modern Velma aside, which good
Yeah,
on them for that.
they're gonna do
Yeah,
that. It's
Modern
gonna be pretty
Velma,
cool. Yeah.
awesome change. Totally behind
Really,
that.
it makes sense, honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
they did it in Mystery Inc. It was really there the whole time. Like it,
yeah. It's something. It's a subtext you pick up on Mystery Inc. that it's there.
although we do have to talk about the whole sexualization thing, but
Yeah,
that's
we'll get
after.
to that.
Continue,
Yeah.
continue.
Anyways, when it comes to the Hex Girls, having that racially diverse member is such a fundamentally important part of them being the antithesis of the gang that you kind of not only take away um, the edge of the Hex Girls by making Luna white. Obviously, whitewashing
Mhm.
is terrible, should
Oh,
never
it's
be
awful.
done at
No,
all in film. One of the
it's bad.
worst things you can do to art is take it away from the context it was originally created. And Luna was created to be a diverse, iconic member of the Scooby Doo franchise. She is, I would go as far to say, the single most iconic non-white Scooby-Doo character. And by whitewashing her in What's
Hmm.
New, you take that away, you absolute buffoons. So it's frustrating because the Hex Girls to me represent something so specific, something so integral to the 90s counterculture and the different interpretation, the more adult, more refined interpretation of Scooby-Doo that's present in Witch's Ghost, Zombie Island, Alien Invaders to a lesser extent, and especially in Mystery Inc. in the latter half. Like, that's the Scooby-Doo that I want to see a spiritual successor of
Do
sooner
this
rather
well.
than later. And the
Uh,
Hex Girls and Luna and everything represent a modern take on Scooby-Doo that by taking that away, you're actually regressing. So I just want to put the What's New writers on blast. That was a bad decision, and
bad
I'm
decision.
happy it was revoked in Mystery Inc. and they actually doubled down on making Luna's skin tone darker in that one.
Yeah,
Good on them.
it
Mystery
was
Inc. Mystery Inc. is so good, guys. Mystery Inc. is so good. We have confirmed lesbian Velma and we have actual black characters. If
Angel
only
Dino.
everything could be like that. If only everything could be like that diversely appealing.
Cassidy Williams slash Angel Dynamite deserves her own place
Yeah.
in
Oh my
Scooby
God.
canon.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic.
If there's the second most iconic Black Scooby Doo character, Cassidy Williams, Angel Dynamite.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's your rant
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. I
Okay,
think I think that's my rant.
now I gotta talk about the bad thing. Okay, so all you out there, the Scooby Doo gang are teenagers. That is what they say. They're not teenagers.
No.
No, they're college age. Come on, you
They're
like
like
they say
19 maybe.
it. They're because if they're not college age, this raises some uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
Why do they keep putting Daphne in a two piece? Why?
I
He is a minor. Please
the
stop.
Daphne service, the Daphne service really bothers me. It really bothers me. Like when it first like I didn't realize how bad it was until we started doing this podcast, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
we
I
look
just
at it way deeper.
yeah, like I
Read
just
into it more.
remember Daphne as like, okay, yeah, Daphne's supposed to be the hot one. Like that's just
Hmm.
something as a kid watching Scooby Doo, that was just a fact I accepted.
Hmm.
Now, granted, I think society's moved past that and we've come to realize that three-dimensional characters are like more important, which is why I think you've seen the popularity of Velma really skyrocket
Yeah.
recently. But honestly, the Daphne service is really bad in the What's New era. Like I, I we watched Mystery Inc. as well, kind of alongside this,
Hmm.
with some friends just because they had never seen it, and it's not even though Mystery Inc. is a way hornier show than this one is,
It is.
like having an overt ongoing romance plot between Daphne and Fred. The
Mm.
Daphne service, aside from a few choice instances, namely the scenes where the gang runs into Daphne's room after she's just woken up, which why? But um,
Who wears
aside
like
from
a see-through nightdress to bed? It, like I don't. Why? Damn.
yeah, like yeah, it's weird. Anyways, the Daphne service is really, really bad in What's New. Like it's pretty bad in Mystery Inc., but it's noticeable in What's New, and I don't get why. I do not get why. Like it's a constant. It's a constant. There are literally every time the gang goes anywhere vaguely tropical, boom, midriff.
Yep.
It's like really, really, we needed this.
Well, it was 2003.
I,
Um,
I
these
guess,
these issues weren't exactly a thing in 2003, and I know that we don't like this. This is not an okay thing. We shouldn't do
yeah,
this, but I don't
yeah,
think this is done anymore,
yeah,
thankfully.
yeah. Like I said, the fact that it's been heavily reduced as Scooby Doo series has gone on is
Yeah.
quite good. But like, I feel like it's a symptom of what's new being in the early 2000s. Like
Oh yeah.
I feel like the early 2000s were an interesting time period in that um, we are as in the early 2000s we are as accepting of sexual themes um, as we are now, but at the same time in the early 2000s the sort of online feminism sort of push for um, round powerful female characters was not as prevalent, which thankfully it is now, and we are getting much better female characters out of stories coming out today, like Marceline and Bubblegum from Adventure
Wow,
Time,
that was that was a
for
good
instance.
time.
Yeah,
Though I
for
do have
instance.
some issues with the ending of Adventure Time, but I'm not going to voice them here.
Yeah,
I just wanted them to fight a big thing and then it would be over, like fight the lich. But no, the message is life goes on. And it's like, oh, come on. Come on. You couldn't do anything else. Oh, I haven't seen the
uh,
new HBO things, by the way. Sorry.
anyways, as I was saying, um, '04 is just this weird period where the fact that we were not only open to and more accepting of sexual themes in our media, but there was also this sort of the online feminism push wasn't there yet, that it just enabled this to happen. And ah I need to
Hmm.
I'm not sure really how to articulate why this is bothering, but I think it's one of those things where once you're keyed into the fact that the Daphne service is pretty constant, like you just can't unsee it, and it takes you out of the show every time you see it. Like rather than it just being diegetic, it's just like, oh yeah, no, they found an excuse to do that again. you know?
It is also worth noting that My Life as a Teenage Robot came out in 2003. And that is there's a lot of fetishes in that show.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
dude, do you know what else came around that time?
What?
Totally Spies.
Oh, good God, no. Yeah, the early 2000s were really, really, really
It was
weird.
it was a different time, dude.
It was a different time. You would
I
never be able to make any of these things now. Never.
no.
They're not going to happen. They won't put it on TV.
Yeah,
But
well, actually, no. What happens is they all get CW reboots.
no, I don't want.
Actually,
Oh,
actually, the only thing, I'm just gonna just for serious for a second. The only thing stopping Warner Brothers, who owns the CW, from making a CW Scooby show is the CGI required to make Scooby work.
yeah, I would agree. They do it. Riverdale's popular. It's popular out the ass.
I mean, Scooby Natural was like one of the most viewed episodes of Supernatural.
People still want more of that thing, man. They love that,
Literally, all Scooby Natural was freaking just Dean hitting on Daphne the whole time.
which is weird.
Again, yeah, goes back
If
to the
they're
Daphne service.
minors,
Why?
if they're
Why?
minors, but if they're
Why?
not minors, fucking say it.
Yeah, like
That's all it would take, and it would be at least acceptable. At
yeah,
least.
the only incarnation I buy that the gang are teenagers is weirdly Mystery Inc., which is the
Yeah.
most mature of them. But even then, they're depicted as seniors about to graduate.
Just just make them fucking 18.
Yeah,
God damn. That's all it would take. Because
like to
if they're
me, like my personal headcanon is that they are they are people on a gap year after they've graduated. Like that's the
Yeah, oh, yeah.
only way it makes sense is like they are 19, 20, like in there.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably just on some weird road trip, but then they end up in the Himalayas. There's a bunch of ghosts and
Yeah,
stuff happens.
freaking Blake money, man.
Lake money allows you to do a lot of things. And I guess it's been our kind of meandering rant about this.
Yeah, I I don't have anything to say. Daphne Service is dumb. It takes me out of everything. Either they're 20 somethings or they're not. And if they're
Hey,
not,
God damn it.
stop. Stop,
Stop it.
god damn it.
2003. Say they're adults. Come on, man.
Come on.
Like they live in a van. It is never they when have they checked into a hotel? They've checked into a hotel like a few times. But most of the time you just see them, they're in the van, they're driving down the road. Where do they sleep? They sleep in the van. Okay?
Van
Okay.
people.
All right then. Anything else to say, Zach?
No, I think I've ranted about Hex Girls. I've ranted about Daphne. I think I've got the things that have pissed me off about what's new out of my system, and I think I'm ready to move on to the Scooby-Doo show. Get
Okay.
back to the 70s, boot up the DeLorean, you know the rest.
Okay, rock on. Well, we will do that in 2 weeks, viewers. And I know that this is a short episode and it's kind of lame. Okay, I know. I know you just want us to review things, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're gonna do it in 2 weeks. You'll see. It'll be there. I think I might put a Twitter poll up to see what format you would like us to do it in, be that one episode at a time, the whole season, half the season, such like that. We did decide on 4 episodes, but I kind of want to see what you guys think. So
Yeah.
I'll put that up the day that this episode comes out. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah.
yeah.
I guess from the Scooby Doo review, now that we've sort of turned over our first season, I'm excited for what the future holds. So, how about we sign off, Pen?
Absolutely. And that's the episode, everybody. Thanks for listening. And remember, we wouldn't have a podcast without those meddling kids and their dumb dog. See you in 2 weeks.